the superpower they never told you about. I want to talk to you today about a woman who is changing the conversation for Black women everywhere. A woman whose courage to speak her truth is making the world softer, safer, and more honest. Her name is Erika Jackson. And if you've never heard of her, you're about to, because Erica is doing something revolutionary. She's standing in front of rooms, in front of microphones, in front of anyone who will listen, and she's saying the thing we've all been afraid to say, that we're tired, that we've been carrying too much for too long, that softness is not weakness, it's power, and that it's time we stop apologizing for choosing ourselves. Erica is a healer, a truth teller, and a disruptor in the best possible way. She's making the world better simply by refusing to stay silent about what Black women endure and what we deserve. Her insights aren't just powerful, they're necessary. And today I'm here to share what she taught me, what she's teaching all of us about softness, unity, and the fierce protection of our bodies and our stories. Let me start with a question. How many of you were taught that softness is weakness? That rest is laziness, that if you're not grinding, you're not worthy? I see you nodding because we've all heard it, we've all lived it. And for Black women especially, this lie has teeth. We've been conditioned to be strong, to hold it together, to carry everyone else's burdens while our own bodies break down in silence. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor and we call it resilience. But here's what Erika Jackson is here to tell us: softness is not weakness, softness is radical, softness is spiritual, softness is power. And I know some of you are already pushing back. You're thinking, but I have to be strong. I have bills to pay. I have people depending on me. I can't afford to be soft. And I hear you. But here's what Erica wants us to understand: being soft on the inside doesn't mean you stop being bold on the outside. It doesn't mean you stop showing up, stop leading, stop fighting for what's right. It means you stop sacrificing your soul to do it. It means you give yourself permission to feel, to rest, to cry, to need help without shame. Because the truth is, you can be tenacious as hell and still be soft as a marshmallow within. And that combination, that's where your magic lives. Erica's story is proof. She's lived through trauma that would break most people. And one of the most painful chapters of her life, one she's chosen to share openly, is her experience with a hysterectomy that never should have happened. She had fibroids, large ones the size of baseballs. And instead of removing the fibroids, her doctor, a doctor of color, chose to perform a full hysterectomy. And then, as if that wasn't devastating enough, she was closed up with impacted gauze inside her body. She bled internally. She nearly died. And she says that was the day she lost herself as a woman. Now, I want you to sit with that for a second, because this isn't just Erica's story. This is the story of so many Black women who have been experimented on, dismissed, rushed through procedures, told their pain isn't real, told their concerns don't matter. Let me take you back, way back to the 1800s, to a man named J. Marion Sims. You might have heard of him. He's been called the father of gynecology. His face was on statues, his name was in textbooks. But here's what they didn't teach us in school: Sims built his career by performing surgeries on enslaved Black women, women like Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy, women whose names were erased from history while his was celebrated. He operated on them without anesthesia, without consent, because he believed, and this is documented, that Black women didn't feel pain the way white women did. Let that sink in. These women were subjected to surgery after surgery, their bodies used as testing grounds, their screams ignored, their humanity denied. And for decades, Sims was honored. Monuments were built. Medical students were taught to revere him. Meanwhile, Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy were footnotes, unnamed, unacknowledged, disposable. It wasn't until Black feminist scholars and activists went back into the archives, dug up the truth, and demanded that we say their names, that the narrative began to shift. Statues started coming down. Textbooks started being rewritten. And finally, we started calling it what it was: medical racism, experimentation, violence. But here's the thing: that legacy didn't die with Sims, it's alive today. Black women in the United States are still more than twice as likely to die from pregnancy related causes compared to white women. Our pain is still undertreated. Our symptoms are still dismissed. Our bodies are still treated as expendable. And Erica's story, it's a modern echo of Anarcha's, of Lucy's, of Betsy's. It's proof that the myth of Black women's superhuman strength, the idea that we can endure anything, is still being used to justify our mistreatment. But here's what Erica is doing with her pain: she's turning it into purpose. She's telling her story so that other Black women don't have to suffer in silence. She's urging us, begging us to get second opinions, third opinions, as many opinions as it takes, to bring someone with us to appointments, to write down our questions, to trust our intuition, and to talk to each other. Because when we share our stories, we stop feeling alone. We stop feeling crazy. We start to see the patterns and we start to protect each other. And that's the second thing Erica wants us to understand. We must move from division to unity. We have to stop investing our bodies, our minds, our money, and our votes in systems that were never built for us. I know that's uncomfortable. I know it's easier to just go along, to not rock the boat, to keep our heads down and hope things get better. But Erica is asking us to be honest, to look at how religion has been used to control us, how politics has been used to divide us, how language itself, English, a language that was not our original tongue, has been weaponized against us. Words are spells, she says, and the spells we've been living under were cast by people who did not have our liberation in mind. So, what do? We start questioning, we start asking, was this built for us? Was this built by us? And if the answer is no, and if the system is harming us, we start withdrawing our support, not out of bitterness, but out of self preservation, out of love for ourselves and our people. And we start building something new, something rooted in our own history, our own language, our own truth. Erica calls it moving from his story to our story. And that shift, that reclamation is everything. Now, let me tell you about a group of women who understood this decades ago. In the 1970s, a group of Black feminists in Boston came together. They were tired of being told to choose between fighting racism and fighting sexism, tired of being erased in white feminist spaces, tired of being silenced in Black liberation movements. They were politically homeless, so they created their own home. They called themselves the Combahee River Collective. And in 1977, they wrote a statement that would change the course of Black feminist thought. They said, when Black women are free, everyone will be free. Think about that. They gathered in living rooms and meeting spaces. They talked honestly about their lives, their pain, their vision of freedom. They drew on their own stories as data. And they insisted that Black women must define their own agenda, not be folded into other people's movements. Here's what's so powerful about their work: they didn't just critique the systems that were failing them, they created a new language, a new framework, a new way of understanding how racism, sexism, classism, and heterosexism intersect in Black women's lives. They modeled what it looks like to choose solidarity over division, to choose sisterhood over crabs in a barrel, to choose collective liberation over individual survival. And their work, it laid the foundation for what we now call intersectionality. It laid the foundation for movements that center Black women's voices, Black women's bodies, Black women's freedom. And that's exactly what Erica is calling us back to. She's calling us to stop gatekeeping, stop tearing each other down, stop competing for scraps from tables we didn't even build. She's calling us to come together, to share our stories, to protect each other, to build power together. Because when we do that, when we unite, we become unstoppable. Now, I want to talk about language for a minute because Erika said something that really stuck with me. She said, words are spells. And she's right. The words we use to describe ourselves, the words we use to describe each other, the words we internalize, they shape our reality. And for too long, Black women have been described in ways that diminish us: angry, aggressive, strong, superhuman. These words have been used to justify our mistreatment, to deny us care, to expect us to endure the unendurable without complaint. But there's a movement happening right now, a movement of Black women reclaiming language, rewriting the narrative, casting new spells. It's happening in space like the Soft Girl Era podcast, where Black women are choosing words like softness, rest, boundaries, pleasure, healing, where we're saying, I am allowed to be more than what oppression wrote for me. I am allowed to feel good. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to be soft. And that softness is not a betrayal of my strength, it's the fullest expression of it. Leanne Dolce, pronounced dulce like sweet softness whispered in French, is creating a space where high achieving Black women can trade grind for ground, where we can stop performing strength and start experiencing peace, where we can drop the superwoman cape and just be human. And that's revolutionary because for so long we've been told that our value is in what we produce, what we endure, how much we can carry. But the soft girl era is saying your value is in your being. You are worthy of care, of rest, of joy, simply because you exist. And that's what Erika's embodying. She's bold, she's unapologetic, she's tenacious, and she's also soft. She's healing, she's resting, she's choosing herself. And she's inviting us to do the same. So here's what I need you to hear: you are a powerful being, not because of how much you can endure, but because of who you are. Your voice matters, your story matters, your choices matter. And when you choose softness, when you choose rest, when you choose yourself, you're not being selfish. You're being sacred. You're reclaiming what was always yours. Erika Jackson is showing us the way. She's showing us that we can be bold and soft, that we can tell the truth and still be tender, that we can demand justice and still rest, that we can unite our people and still honor our own healing. And when we do all of that, when we step fully into our power and our softness, we become the women we were always meant to be: free, whole, unapologetically ourselves. Now, here's what I want you to do: not tomorrow, not next week, today. If a doctor recommends a major procedure, get at least 2 or 3 opinions, no matter what. Bring questions written down. Bring someone you trust. If you feel dismissed or rushed, leave and seek another provider. Your body is not a site of experimentation. Your pain is real. Your concerns matter. Reach out to one Black woman in your life this week, not just how are you, but what are you carrying and how can I support you? Start or join a small circle where Black women can talk openly about health, spirituality, politics, healing without judgment. Because when we share our stories, we stop suffering alone. We start building collective power. Audit where your energy, money, and attention go. Ask of every institution you engage with, was this built for us? Was this built by us? And where the answer is no and the impact is harmful, begin to withdraw your support financially, mentally, emotionally, and invest instead in Black led community centered spaces. And finally, practice one act of deliberate softness each day. Rest without guilt. Cry when you need to. Go into nature. Allow yourself to receive help. Treat your softness as evidence of your power, not a flaw. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. When you choose yourself, you disrupt every system built on your silence. When you rest, you resist. When you speak, you shatter. When you unite, you transform. So let's stop waiting for permission. Let's stop shrinking. Let's stop suffering in silence. Let's start talking to each other. Let's start protecting each other. Let's start building the world we deserve together, softly, powerfully, sacredly. Because when Black women are free, everyone will be free. And our freedom starts with us choosing ourselves today, right now. No apologies, no explanations, just love, just truth, just softness, just power. Welcome to your soft girl era.